Hey plant nerds! Back out in the garden, and today I wanted to talk about saving basil seeds. If you're new to saving seeds, this is probably one of the easiest ones to save, and you get so many seeds from a single plant, like you'll never need to buy basil again. So let's jump right into it. If you're new around here, then hi, I'm Kiri. I'm a micro homesteader. I'm in Zone 5B in Pickering, Ontario. And I love to grow food. And on this channel, we talk about all things micro homesteading, from growing outdoors in the garden to growing indoors hydroponically, as well as other ways for you to become more self-sufficient and reduce your reliance on the grocery store. So if that sounds like your thing, or if you want that to be your thing, then don't forget to go ahead and hit subscribe and the notification bell so you know when I post videos in the future, and then you don't miss anything. I love me some basil. It is easy to grow. You can grow it outdoors in the garden. It grows amazingly hydroponically, and we'll go look at that in a little bit. And it's also super easy to save seeds from. So really, if you've got a plant, then the only reason you need to buy seeds again is if you want a different variety. And there's a lot of varieties of basil. I think I have 10, I don't know, we'll check when we go inside to see how many there are. But there's a lot. I have another video where I go into more on seed saving. I will link it up above. This video is just going to talk about basil, but I'm assuming that's why you're here, so that's all really that matters. So I'm going to flip the camera and I'm going to show you what's left of my basil patch. Okay, so things are not looking as great as they once were, but that's okay because it's almost October. Things are starting to wind down in the garden. Still got some stuff out there, which is also bringing us to prime seed saving time. So there's definitely some basil seeds that are ready to save here, and there's some that aren't. So let's take a look at the difference. So this is where you're going to get your seeds from at the top of the plant. If they're green like this one is, then they are not ready yet, and you're just going to need to be a little bit more patient. Especially this one still has some flowers on it, so it's just not ready yet. But just leave it a little bit longer, and then you'll get some seeds from that. Basil flowers are actually really pretty, especially the Thai basil, the very purple. I'll actually have some over here, hang on. So here's some of the purple Thai basil. They're actually just gorgeous. This one here is more on its way to being ready. Some of them are ready, but not all of them. And then if we go over to these ones, these are the ones I would typically try to save seeds from right now. They're all brown, they're crispy. I don't want to shake them up too much or I'm going to lose all my seeds. And then all we need is a good set of pruners and we're good to get started. It's always fun trying to record these videos when there's crazy barking dogs and car alarms going off. So I'm going to wait a minute and hopefully the madness will stop. What's going on, Bacon? Is everything crazy right now? A little bit. Car alarm's been going for like 5 minutes. We're still patiently waiting though. The little dog stopped barking though, so we're halfway there. Okay, so the car has stopped, so we are going to get going. So you are going to need a clean pair of pruners. What do I mean by clean? I mean clean with isopropyl alcohol in between each use of plants, because otherwise you could be spreading disease from one to the other, and we do not want that. Once your pruners are clean, you can then take them and we are going to snip off the flower stalks. You're also going to want to have some kind of container. I have a little glass bowl here, and I'm going to clip off all of them and put them in here. I'm going to flip the camera and see if I can do this with one hand. Okay, so I don't even think I was recording the last bit. So what I've done is I have got a couple of the dried up basil pieces in the bowl. And then what we're doing is we're cutting off the really dried ones, are as dried as possible, and just popping them in there. Now there are a variety of different basils in this area. I have some lettuce leaf basil, I have some Genovese basil, there's some lime basil in here, there's some Thai basil over the back, some purple basil as well. And they can definitely cross-pollinate. Well, just to be clear, cross-pollinating isn't bad. It just means I may not end up with pure lettuce leaf basil, I may not end up with pure Genovese basil, I might end up with a mix. So maybe I have a large leaf Thai basil because it kind of cross-pollinated with the lettuce leaf. I'm okay with that. I love basil, so we'll see what we get. When I want to make sure that I'm saving pure seeds, that's where I rely personally on my hydroponic setup indoors. Outdoors, you need to make sure that you are leaving a lot of space in between, more space than I have, to ensure that there's no cross-pollination. So for me, the outdoor basil, I get new crosses and mixes, and it's still basil. But indoors is where I can save for the pure seeds and make sure that I'm keeping pure Genovese or pure lettuce leaf or basil, Thai basil, or whatever the variety is. So it's up to you. If you want to make sure that you are getting pure, whichever is your favorite type of basil, then make sure that if you're going to save seeds, then I would make sure that you only plant that type of basil, and hopefully your neighbors aren't planting other types that could potentially cross-pollinate. If you don't care, plant them all and see what you get. It's still gonna taste great. Okay, so got loads of basil here. Some of them, this one technically could have stayed on a bit longer. The seeds are dry, but the stem is still a bit green. Whereas with this one, the entire thing is brown, which is ideally what we want. With the seed saving, at least for basil, the drier the better. Okay, hopefully I can keep this stable. So I'm just going to take this, just go like that, and we can get rid of that. Sorry if this is wobbly, but I've got the phone curiously perched. And that's it. Just pull them off, and then we'll get to the next part. It's definitely easier if you slide down the stem rather than trying to slide up the stem. They don't come off as easily that way, but when you go down, they all slide off. Okay, so we have a nice little amount there, and that's what we're going to do now is we're just going to crumble them as much as possible. We're trying to get the seeds to come out of those flower heads. Takes a while. Just keep crumbling them up. You're not going to hurt the seeds or anything like that, so you don't have to worry. They're pretty tiny. Did you make a poopy? Uh-oh. You got carrots in your cone? You've got carrots in your cone, Bacon? Are you okay now? The struggle is real, Bacon. You've got carrots on your face. Come here. Let me get the carrots off your face. Oh dear. Almost out of the cone, aren't we? Almost. Poor baby Bacon. Okay, I gotta do basil seeds now. So now we have to do some winnowing. There's multiple ways you can do it. Basically, winnowing is just using the power of the wind to separate the chaff from the seed. So you could hold it from up high, and if it's a windy day, when you drop them, the heavier things. Now we have crows. First it was small dogs, then it was car alarms, and now it is crows. So if it's a windy day, you're going to use that to your advantage, and you can just drop them from up high, and they will blow away. The other way you can do it, the way that I usually end up doing it, is you have it in your bowl here, and you gently blow into the bowl. Not too much, or you're going to lose all your seeds. So gently. It also gets all in your hair and everywhere. But just keep going. It's one of those slow things to get the benefit. I still come in here and I'm going to keep crumpling them as I go. If you really wanted to, you could take them all out individually. I don't got time for that. So just keep crumbling them. And then we're going to give it a shake and just gently blow again. Just rinse and repeat. It smells amazing though, because basil. It's one of those things you need to be patient with. Oh my God, it's everywhere. Because if you get frustrated and it's on my nose. It's everywhere. It's one of those things that if you get frustrated and you blow too hard, you could lose all your seed and then you're back to square one. So, slow and steady. We're almost there. When you get to the very end, it's probably easier and less risky to just pull out the last of the flower heads. At this point, I usually actually open them up, because if they stuck around this long, let's let their genes make it on to the next generation. So if you're interested in building one of these arched cattle panel trellises, I will put the link up above to said video where we made them, where the whole family was involved. All right, almost done. This is one of those situations where having nails really helps to get the seeds out of the flowers. All right, so there we have it. It's all our basil seed. Ooh, getting a bit windy, some natural winnowing going on there. We will take these inside. So let's talk about basil. I said I had a lot, and I do. So Genovese basil, Thai sweet basil, those are familiar. Lettuce leaf basil, I love this one. It's nice. The leaves on it are massive. I have some African basil. I tried growing this. I didn't have great luck this year, so I'm going to try it some hydroponically. I just find that's a much more controlled environment. Some purple opal basil. Dwarf Greek basil. This one was cinnamon basil. Lime basil. Emily basil, which is great for containers, is basically a Genovese basil, but it's shorter. Some Thai holy basil. It's more Genovese. There's a couple more that I want to get. I definitely want to get the Persian basil, but don't have that one yet. But yeah, so there's definitely a lot of basil seeds, different types of basil, and this doesn't even begin to cover it all. While we're outside, I was mentioning how hydroponics is an amazing way to grow basil. That over there is my two-tier family rise garden. If you are curious, I do have a link in the description below to get $50 off any of the family rise gardens. But you could use any garden to grow hydroponically. It could be one of these, it could be an aero garden, or it could even be one that you've built yourself. That's something that I want to still try and do, is make my own hydroponic system. The idea is I'm going to get a grow tent and build it in there. That is a video for another day. Right now I just want to show you all the basil that I have growing over here in this setup, so you can see how well it grows hydroponically. This is the prime way that I save my basil seeds when I want to make sure that they are 100% pure to type. That's not going to happen right there, because this was my first planting of this new garden and I got a little overexcited. I know better than to plant all the holes, and while I didn't plant all of them, I planted a lot of them. So it's pretty full in there. Once this whole round is done, I'm actually going to be replanting the bottom level there just of the Genovese basil. Not for seed saving, I'm actually going to have a pesto bonanza. So I want to grow a huge amount of basil. And in here, I can do that in November if I need to, which is probably when it's going to happen, November, December. And it will have no pest damage, giant leaves, and I'll have a lot of basil. So that's the plan. But I'm going to flip the camera and I'll show you everything else that's in there. So first of all, I have to point out my variegated string of pearls, because I'm in love with all things variegation. And I even have here a variegated fish pepper, so that's exciting. We have some Thai basil here, and one thing I've noticed, the basil grows so much bigger hydroponically. So this is a Thai basil leaf, which outside has never grown that big. Here's one of my Genovese basil leaves, like it's massive. And then in the corner over here, we have the lettuce leaf basil, which is honestly bigger than my hand. So this is a great way to grow, and like I said, I've got more than enough in here. I definitely need to do some pruning. Some of the Thai basil is starting to go to seed, so but in here there still could be cross-pollination. But if I wanted to save pure seeds, I would just grow the one variety in here, just let it go to seed. Even if it's a single plant, it will give you so many seeds. That answers all your questions on how to save basil seeds.
And I really hope that I have encouraged you even just a little to try growing something hydroponically. That would make me so happy. I truly want to encourage more micro homesteaders and just anybody to start growing hydroponically. The more people that grow hydroponically and have more food year round, the less reliance we have on the grocery store. We can help disrupt the industrial agricultural chain and have more food coming a shorter distance from where it's grown, in my office or in my garden or in your garden, and having a shorter distance from where it's grown to your plate, which is a great thing. It gives you more control. You know how it was grown, what was involved in it. You can use organic practices. It's just healthier, and hopefully I've encouraged you just a little bit to try it out. That would really make my day. So if you did find this video helpful, then please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, because YouTube loves that, and then it helps me reach more people and spread this message of micro homesteading. Also, down in the description below, I have included some what I think are kind of cute seed packages that you can use to save any of your basil seeds or any other seeds that you're saving. They're free downloadable ones. You can grab them down there, right down there, and hopefully you enjoy them. So until next time, don't forget to go out there and enjoy the little things and make food grow. Bye guys.